Welcome back. Now, before the break, you heard about how some members of the GOP are looking to decrease or delay recovery aid for storm-ravaged portions of our region here. Now, it is a theme. Delay, 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 time wasted on not getting stuff done. And while it's certainly not just Republicans here, take a closer look at what we've seen in the last few months, because my point in this segment is the GOP has a tremendous opportunity if they could just get out of their own way here. When it came to the fiscal cliff, D.C. played the waiting game till the very last minute. We all knew how the thing was going to end, gave us an 11th hour deal that we all knew was going to happen, but they wasted it and they got nothing out of it, and politically they got hurt as a consequence. Now, we're going to waste more time in a debate about whether or not we're going to raise the debt limit, and let's be honest, we all know in the end they're going to do it. In the meantime, very few elected Republicans have dared to come out in any way, shape, or form against the NRA, even though we all agree Wayne LaPierre did not do himself or the Republican Party any favors by doing that press conference the way he did. Why isn't the GOP getting out ahead of stuff? For example, immigration reform, instead of waiting and then catching up to the president. And Tom, we saw the cover of Time magazine, the poll numbers. Chris Christie's numbers are through the roof. Numbers even with African Americans in, so don't just tell me this is a blue state thing for some Republicans. He's doing well with everybody. And let's look at what he did. He threw his arm around the president when he came in here because it was the smart thing to do. You want aid from Washington, you go to where it is. You also even criticize the party when they don't come through with you on money, for example, for your state here. He's willing to take approaches that don't follow what Grover Norquist tells him to do, or maybe even the NRA, like when he had to say what he said about guns in schools. Somehow, this guy's really popular. But to certain Republican circles, he's the anathema because he dared to, A, talk to the enemy. My point is, you could go after Harry Reid for not putting out a budget in the U.S. Senate, but instead, you guys, the party's going to obsess about stuff that isn't going to do them any good. It's only going to marginalize. It's only going to make them look like they're out of touch. I thought that was going to change after the election. Are you surprised? Since November, this party has gotten into the way of themselves as much as they have.
I'm disappointed. I think that there is no question there is a unique opportunity for some member of my party, and hopefully maybe it's Chris Christie, although he's got a campaign coming up next year, is that somebody has a unique opportunity to be a leader and speak out and sort of rally Republicans around them. I think, though, that the problem we have is that we have way too many factions within my party. We have social conservatives, we have fiscal conservatives, we have foreign policy hawks, and the last person that really could rally all of them together in one piece was Ronald Reagan.
Was it because he was Reagan, or was the party in a different place?
I think the party was in a little bit different place because we were in the process of taking over, Southern conservative Democrats, et cetera, et cetera.
The country was also in a different place.
Country was in a much different place, and that's, Andrew has a very good point there, is that we need to recognize that our party, well, the country is different today than it was 30 years ago. And so we need to get out and recognize that if we are going to be part of the political landscape 20 years from now, we need to recognize that America looks much differently than it used to. And I'm hopeful that whether it's a Marco Rubio, whether it's a Chris Christie, whether it's maybe a Jeb Bush, whether it's a Condoleezza Rice, that we need to put a new face on things, but we need a messenger that people say, I like that person.
And you need, for example, if somebody said, all right, tell us what we do, my first thing is, before the Democrats do, before the president does, you get out in front on immigration reform. So it's not like you guys will look like you're drag kicking and screaming, right, and you get something out of it, right?
But I don't think the party can at this point. I mean, this is the party right now is sowing the seeds of the rhetoric and the positions that it's taken over the last couple of presidential election cycles. And it's going to take time for that to change. It took Democrats time to change after Reagan and then the first Bush.
But one thing I thought November did was they learned they don't have to live in fear of Grover Norquist anymore, or frankly, even the NRA anymore.
It's their voters. I'm sorry.
No,
it's their voters that they're afraid of right now, because you've been spoon-feeding these voters through Fox News and other outlets this same hardline ideology on so many of these divisive issues for so long. Now you got to convince them that what you've been telling them for the last 8 years is wrong, or
but
the
it
last
sounds
12
like
years.
You got to wait for a different messenger, or I mean, isn't it a different message? Which is it?
I don't know. All I can tell you, I agree with what both gentlemen have said here tonight. Until
Andrew and Tom. Andrew and Tom. When you're getting old, you forgot our names. We've only done the show 20 days, now you forget our names.
You're the one with the big 5-0, I believe, coming up.
Yeah, but I remember Dominic Carter. we're just guys now over here.
The two gentlemen.
The two gentlemen.
The gentleman at the head of the table.
Okay.
Richard, the problem is until you can stop the pandering on the far right, which, you know, that thing that was done on HBO on Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Game change.
Game change. It was correct. The scene at the end where McCain is about to concede and they're in the suite and he says to Sarah Palin character, watch Rush Limbaugh and the others, they'll take the party over the cliff. That's exactly what's happened. And until you can, I used the word nuts earlier, until you can pull these Tea Party nuts and these far right nuts back to mainstream and to deal with the changing demographics of America, America's changing, things are not going to get any better.
And I think Richard, I think we may go through a really, really tough stretch here, but I sense that younger people, younger Republicans, even I'm not, you know, I'm 50, but I'm listening to younger people in my business. They are promoting the more inclusive, let's get immigration reform. Let's tone down the anti-gay rhetoric, more for gay marriage, et cetera. That will help us as we move forward.
At least Sarah Palin's gone away.
Thank God.
Knock on wood. All right, we take a break. When we come back, though, you got 4 baseball fans here, and what we saw or didn't see as the announcements of the Hall of Fame came out, and not one name, even though arguably it was the greatest class since the first class in the Hall of Fame. Obviously a protest vote, but what does it mean, and did they get it right? We'll be right back.